They say all men are created equal. Shot! Master! I'll pull out the Glock! Full of suffering, succotash, son!
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle. And we're back with another Dynamite review this week. We've had Grand Slam this weekend, so we've not recorded that long ago, so a bit small gap. But in that time, we have hit 500 subs. So to start off, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing on YouTube if you have, and also listening on Spotify. Don't forget about the handful of people who listen on Spotify. But yeah, thank you all so much for helping us hit this milestone. It means a lot. And yeah, we're coming up to like our 1 year anniversary, so it's really nice to have got here.
Yeah, that was our goal, 500. So, and yeah, it's just a great community that we've built. It's so cool that like we'll post and people actually care. Like it's kind of wild to me
Yeah.
that we upload a UK time like 11:30 at night, sometimes midnight. So I don't know if this is like from people in the States or what, because we have a pretty like 50-50 States UK listeners. But it's just mad to me. It's just mad, like I said, to watch the show and then to pick our podcast to listen to, and we're talking for like over an hour, and there's so many other podcasts and so many people. It's a saturated market, and the fact that the same people have stuck around week in, week out, commenting with such detailed, thoughtful comments, and even if we can't like respond to it with as much thought, we do read everything. We read everything. Be warned. No, we read everything, and we appreciate everything, and like, yeah, it's like nothing goes unnoticed because like we are really small, and it's just really validating, for sure.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely, and it makes it worth it because obviously we do put in a lot of time and effort into doing this. We want it to be good. Like, we're doing it because we enjoy it. That's the main reason. But we're also conscious, like we do genuinely work hard, and we want it to be high quality. So when we get nice feedback and we can see the numbers growing, that really does, yeah, like you said, very validating, and it's lovely. And yeah, it's crazy that people. I mean, I know like when we started, obviously you start something like this with the hope that it's going to grow, but I think it's straight. It was funny. We're both like, "Oh, actually, people are actually listening." That's surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. So we hope that you continue to watch and continue to enjoy. And as ever, like any feedback, any suggestions, any questions, please feel free to fire away. Like Estelle said, we read every comment. So yeah. Thank you very much.
And especially like suggestions as well, like video ideas are like really welcome, because
yeah,
we like walk in a fine line, because we haven't put out that much different content. We did the NXT review, but this year we really want to. The start of the year's been so busy for both of us, but in time we really want to grow the channel and do other things. So if people want to see that, and if people just want to see weekly Dynamite reviews, we want to know that too. So like we're putting out what you want to see.
Yeah, any insight is always really valuable.
And thank you to anyone who joined us from the Grand Slam video, because I know that's really what kind of pushed us over to 500. So we had a few people find us through suggested video homepage and stuff. So that's really sick. So thank you. I hope you enjoy and hope you stick around for a bit, because yeah, it's pretty much similar chaotic vibe week on week. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, we're going to review Dynamite from this week.
Shocker.
Which I have to say kicked off with two of the most exquisite men, I was going to say, in wrestling in the world, actually.
You were speechless then. Wow. Like
MJF and Hangman.
Yeah, the show in general was so fun, but
it's very different,
I don't know,
wasn't
it was really fun and a lot. I'm really excited to talk about it because I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 pages of notes.
Oh,
which feel like a Dynamite review is quite a lot. I feel like a lot of talking points happened on the show, but at the same time, I was fatigued after the show. I felt like I'd watched a pay-per-view. I felt more tired watching this than I did Grand Slam. This is going to be, spoiler, a decently rated show. There was nothing on side I really hated. I've really had a lot of fun. I don't know if it's just because like I'm a bit tired today. I've had a long day, been at work, turned it on after. But yeah, I don't know if it's just me or whether you found it quite long. I don't know if it's just 'cause there's a lot packed in, it felt like.
Yeah, actually, same to be honest. And also like I sort of watched it a bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Like broken up with like different.
Yeah.
Like I pause it and go do something else, like cook my tea, and also I tried to watch some of it in the morning and also at lunchtime, and it was very broken up and spread out. And yeah, it did. It felt like there was a lot packed in.
Sometimes that makes it feel like it's quicker when you break it up. Sometimes it makes feels like it's longer. And yeah, especially when I know Grand Slam was pretty good, but we had a few patchy weeks before that where it was just a lot of filler.
Yeah.
And then to now, it's like, okay, Revolution's on the horizon. We got to pull the trigger on all these stories that we've been kind of holding back because we had to get Grand Slam out of the way. So
Yeah, there was a lot of ramifications on this, wasn't there? Like big story points that mattered.
yeah, so let's jump into the MJF Hangman thing, which was probably the thing I was most excited for. As soon as I saw they were gonna have a face off, I was like, oh, finally they're gonna have this out. And this was just this was just it was just amazing. It was just such a, it was almost like a psychological psych study of these characters, and it just
Yeah.
mapped out perfectly where they are right now. What, like, are they face, are they heel, what are their insecurities, what's driving them, what do they like, what do they respect about each other, what do they not respect about each other. It was just so well done, and it's like you say, they're both exquisite physically, but also like these are the greatest minds of professional wrestling. These are two of the
Yes.
greatest actors of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
These are two of the people who care and have crafted these characters with every blood, sweat, and tear, and
Yeah.
put everything into what they do. So of course it was going to be phenomenal.
Couldn't agree more. And exquisite in every sense of the word. You know, on the eye, acting, in ring,
Yep.
psychology, cutting a promo in general, outfit, look, I mean everything.
Couldn't ask for more. I love the start of this, because the first thing MJF says is mentions the 2019 Double or Nothing first match, the Casino Battle Royale, and he had the match won, and Hangman screwed him. And I thought, this is so much deeper than just Chris Jericho and the Orange Cassidy thing when he was like, you stained my jacket orange years ago. This to me was the level of pettiness. The fact they had to gripe about something from so long ago so that he doesn't have to confront what the real issue is that he's jealous and he's insecure. And the fact that's like the first thing that he said to him and had to dig for, I was like, that's telling, man. That's telling.
That's very Max. Of course he'd remember that. He would never let that go. That, that keeps him up at night.
Yep. He then went on to boast about his accolades. And I loved the next bit. Hangman, why are you talking to me like I don't know who you are? And it's like, because Max wants the validation. And this is why this whole thing was so clever. It didn't hold your hand. It really rewarded you. You could watch this and just turn it on TV and just get it. Like, you could just get it. But you get so much more out of it if, like, you know all the context and you know these characters before. But it wasn't done in a way that AEW's done in the past where it expects you to know things. It was just, like, extra rewarding. And it was just so well done.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And also, that line that you said from Hangman, that was like the first thing that he said. Like, why, can't remember exactly what he said. Like, why are you saying this as if I don't know you? I just thought he's so commanding on the mic. You just have to stop. I remember I was eating my lunch and I was crunching away. And I had to stop crunching. I was like, wait, I need to listen properly.
Respect.
Yeah, it just...
Respect this man.
Yeah, you just have to stop and listen to what he's saying. There's something about him, like his aura. Yeah,
yeah, every word he says has weight. He's not a character who just talks for the sake of Max can kind of be like that in that, he's got like the cheap heat and the cheap pops.
Yeah.
That is like the opposite of what Hangman's about, and that's why these two characters contrast so wonderfully. Because, like I said, he's real, he's authentic. There's no bravado. He's not coming out in a tailored suit. He's here. He's real. He's rough around the edges, but he is what he says he is. So yeah, and I love Max's bit of another gripe that he has of who's morally redeemable and who's not, who the main character is. And again, he dressed it up in the whole morally redeemable thing, like why is Hangman getting cheated when he's done all these indefensible things that I've also done indefensible things, but what makes him less of a scumbag than me? But then the real crux of it is why is he the main character? And it's like why is he getting the support? And it's again that great thing that Max is so great about, and a sign of a great heel is being justified and believing what you're saying, and the audience being kind of drawn into you rather than just being an annoying heel, of which there was a few annoying heels on tonight. And that works for some people, that can sometimes work, but I think the best heel is someone who, like, he's tragic. He's tragic, is Max. I love the line, sorry to jump to the end, but when he said, you can be the main character and I'll be the bad guy, that I like audibly, like, nearly screamed. I was like, oh my god, like that's so sad. Like, if you know, like, the subtext of that, he doesn't want to be the bad guy. He doesn't want to be. Oh my god, it's just it's angst, bro. It's angst.
It absolutely is. And like Max, like you said, the sign of a great heel is when they're justified. And really, everything most of what he was saying was very valid. Like, I was like, Max, you have a point. Yeah, Hangman is vile. He's done all these things. And he's like reading the fans for filth. Like, because they were just there cheering him for having burnt someone's house down. And yeah, it's like, yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
I think it was Max who said this to Hangman. After everything you've done, do you love you? And it's like, oh.
But is that also like something he's asking himself too? These characters are very different, but they also have a lot of insecurities. And maybe those insecurities don't match exactly, but both of them don't love themselves. But yeah, the people love you, but do you love you? Really, really cutting stuff.
Yeah, and then when Max started laying into him about Christopher Daniels, that's when Hangman showed regret. And I think it's great that, like, Christopher Daniels is retired and his retirement has been utilised to its full potential for a story. Because really, it was so palpable how much Hangman, like, his face, like, completely changed. And he said, yeah, don't talk about Christopher Daniels like that, blah, blah, blah. If I could rip out my spine and give it to him, I would do it in a heartbeat. And it's like, that's like, especially because Hangman's been a heel. And he's sort of been like in the middle, hasn't he? He's been a tweener. That was very face-ish. That's just like securing him. Like, this whole segment just made it very clear. But at the same time, there's still the ambiguity of it. It's clear in this sense, like, because Max said it at the end, like you said, literally who is playing the villain and who is playing the good guy in this scenario, who's fitting those roles.
So meta, man. Oh, it's so meta. It's so cool.
But they're both elements of both, and they know within themselves that they are. And also they know it of each other. And that's why they're great, like, reflections
Foils.
of one another.
Yeah,
and great foils, like you said before, like, Max saying to Hangman, do you love you? He's saying that because he feels it himself. He's projecting.
Oh my god, these men. Yeah, and the worthless heart, Christopher Daniels, and the eruption of emotion from Hangman, which was so, I say, palpable, because we'd kind of seen this emotional side teased, the regret.
Yeah.
what he'd done to Chris Daniels, going to Swerve's locker room, in my fan theory, to kind of make somewhat of a reconciliation, and to finally like get that emotion come to the surface. It wasn't just the next week, oh, I feel sorry. And it's
Yes.
very real. And even at the end when he was face to face with him and he had the fist up, but he put it down slowly. It's so well done because it's so layered and it's so real, and it's like, yeah, of course the next day he's not just gonna become face. He's not gonna get this
Yeah.
amnesia, which I really, really appreciate the journey that we're being taken on. And yeah, as you said, that real life respect that he has for him, and that his final match, the legacy of Christopher Daniels and his final match is so fitting. All he's done is given and given and given, and even in his last match, he's given.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the how much that legacy means to Adam Page.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
using that to add even more depth to his character, which is great. And there's just one more thing with this that I just wanted to mention, whether this was intentional or not, but I, just read into it like we do on this podcast as two English literature girlies. They were staring
This
each
is
other
Shakespeare.
down. Yeah, literally. So they were having that really intense stare down, just like towards the end, and the fans started chanting cowboy shit, and then MJF like looked at the fans when they were doing that, but Hangman stayed focused on MJF. Like he didn't look away once. And that's to me, that sums up their characters. Like Hangman's focused on the person in front of him, whereas MJF is worried about the validation of the fans. He's like, why are you chanting for him and not me? But Hangman's just like one track, just looking at Max. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, as to whether the fans cheer or boo, whether the fans are gonna boo because he's assaulting Swerve in a death match, or whether they're going to cheer because they think it's cool, the visual of him burning down his home. He doesn't give a shit. He's going to do it regardless.
Yeah.
And again, it links into that I'm real, I'm authentic. And that makes him more of, I suppose, a cool character to root for the fans, because that makes him the babyface, because like cowboy shit. And it's almost like that. He is such like a symbol of what great pro wrestling is. Like, think about one of the great Stone Cold Steve Austin, a very morally grey tweener babyface, but he was just so undeniably cool and captivating and charismatic that people were drawn to him. And that's what pro wrestling is. I mean, you go into all the dodgy storylines of the past, but people fucking cheered and people were into it, because if you give someone a spectacle, they're going to be drawn to it. But yeah, and then the whole, I don't respect Max because he schemes and he's sort of cheated his way to the top. And Max is like, well, I'm just more intelligent than you. And his gripes about Hangman being the golden boy, just like I say, set out their gripes really clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both squared up after the whole main character, I'll be the bad guy spiel. And Max spits on Hangman, which was so visceral. I mean, there was like a bit of spit hanging off him. It was disgusting. It was gross. And he runs away. And then Christopher Daniels, I say, pulls Hangman off security. And he says this is what he's been fighting for the whole time. And I don't think Hangman got it in the sense of like, oh, like I'm a good guy now, like I fight for morally right thing, but it's like he respects Christopher Daniels enough that he's on the way, he's on the journey, he's starting to get it and make amends. And oh, guys, can you imagine when he makes like amends with Swerve?
Oof.
What if Swerve doesn't accept it though?
I don't think Swerve would accept it.
I don't think he would either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's partly why I reacted the way I did, because like I can see Hangman trying to, but I don't see Swerve accepting it. I mean, why would he? Don't blame him.
Yeah, but then like what will be the repercussions of their characters going forward? But yeah, it's so cool. But yeah, this was just it delivered on every front. Like for weeks
Yeah.
they've been clamoring for this, and they knocked out of the park. Best segment on the show by a
Yeah, it
mile.
was excellent. Really enjoyed it. And like all this for just a promo segment.
Yeah.
That's how good it was, and that's how good they are at talking. Like it's not many wrestlers could do that.
Yeah. So now we're just going to move on. We had the patriarchy versus the ops, which I messaged you as soon as like this name was revealed. Like it's just had me in bits. The ops. Can you imagine them being your ops? Like you're walking down your city streets and you see those three lads. Like what you're on about the ops? Like I just know Hook came up with that name.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
has Hook all over it.
Yeah.
He was like, "We're going to be called the ops. This is cool. This is Gen Z." But this is cool because uh sorry. Sorry, yeah, this match was announced, and then there was a bit in between. So I got to talk about this with Roddy, with Kyle and Adam being asked about his match with Orange Cassidy and their history
Oh gosh,
and
I
his
forgot about that.
conflict of interest with Orange. But my takeaway with this was there was no stakes because yeah, there's the stakes of the match, and yeah, it's cool to see them go against each other, and the match delivered in ring, and it was fun. But why was Kyle so wishy? Like, why did they make the decision to have Kyle not care? Like, that was so uncool and so boring, and like it was just lame. Like, I'm not saying that had to end in like a dramatic blowout but just a bit of tension, a bit of like Orange Cassidy's my friend. But it was literally just like the conglomeration's a lifestyle. And like yeah, it's funny, it's a cheap pop, but it's also like I just wish they would have just done something more.
Yeah, I just found it a bit confusing, really, because like the conglomeration's not been a thing for a long time, so why are we suddenly bringing it up now? Like, it just sort of felt like a little plaster over it in case people turned around and were like,
Yeah.
"Oh well, why is Kyle O'Reilly on Roderick's side when he was besties with Orange Cassidy not that long ago?" But like, it didn't. To me, it didn't matter that much to bring it up and make a whole thing about it, especially when you said like he didn't even care.
Yeah, it was just lame. It was just so lame. Like either he's like, "Oh, Roddy's my friend now," and he kind of he doesn't have to be nasty to Orange Cassidy, but he just like kind of snubs him and he just like walks away when he's getting hurt, and it's like, oh, okay, like a bit of a stab to Orange Cassidy. I'm not saying he has to fully go for him, or there is that tension and they can like build that, and that story didn't have to be a massive story. It has to be revealed tomorrow, but it's just something. It's
Mm.
just something. Like, don't ask him. Oh my God, like that's like your old best friend now. You're friends with him, and what are you gonna do? Oh mate, I don't care. Like that's
Yeah,
so fucking lame, bro. And you
exactly.
wasted like TV time with that. The fuck.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. So much so that I forgot about it. Forgot this even happened.
So sorry, we had the patriarchy and against the ops, and it was great to see these guys in action, especially on Dynamite because this is very much like a collision thing. So it's cool to kind of have that on here. I'm not the biggest fan, as we know, of just things exclusively being on Collision and not being mentioned on the A show. It's just it's my personal opinion. I like things to be merged, and yeah, it was great to see Nick Wayne in action. Great to see him and Hook. Uh, God, those two are twinks.
Oh
Nick
my
Wayne, the
God,
chops in the
I thought the
corner.
exact same thing. I'm glad you said it.
We had a twink division. Um, yeah, he took a fair few chops in the corner, and I enjoyed the Samoa Joe when he did the tope. That was really
Oh my
cool.
God, that was insane.
I really liked the ending, catching Nick Wayne in flight for the Red Room, and then Joe scaring off Christian Cage for the victory because he's the better father figure. He actually standing by his son
Yeah.
while his other dad's on commentary, and Christian Cage is abandoning Nick Wayne again. But would he have done the same for Kip Sabian? Who knows? Luchasaurus has recently been cleared to wrestle, so that's cool.
Ah.
Hopefully he can come into this storyline. But I just thought this was short, fun, sweet, and yeah, I really enjoyed. I was on place episode. I really enjoyed Nick Wayne and Hook f going against each other because these are two guys that are very similar place on the card, very similar. Like I think the character development's at the same level, and it was just nice. And I wish that maybe instead of always trying to boost people up by A star versus C star, they just sometimes add C versus C and just let them build a little bit of momentum because this is really nice. And I'd love to see them have like a proper feud that's just them two and see what they
Oh
could
yeah.
do with it. Like just hand these young lads the ball and let them run and let them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, just see what
See where it
happens.
goes.
Yeah,
Bit
definitely.
of
Like throw them in
yeah.
the deep end. Bit of twinkle in
That's why
direction.
action. That's why it would be nicer to have like a developmental brand where you could actually do stuff like that because
Mm.
yeah. I'm not
Um,
saying I don't want to see Hook versus a total irrelevant, but just two people who were just on a similar path. I think there's merit in that.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. Fun, I think, is the word I'd use to describe this above anything else. Yeah, it was entertaining to watch, and I think the ops are great, and it's nice to like they just work really well together as a team, and yeah, bit of spice in the trios division as well. So yeah, what's not to like about this?
God, I forgot that that existed. Jesus Christ. Then we had the token Chris Jericho segment going on about the Bandito bounty hunt
I don't really
fiasco.
understand that. I don't know if I'm just stupid or not paying enough attention. I just don't get it, but don't get it.
Well, Brian Keefe, he's the bounty hunter. Bandito, he's like an outlaw. Then wanted like the other week or something, he was like, "Oh, I'll give you $10,000 if you get him or something. I'll double the
Yeah.
price." Something like that. Yeah, again, who cares? No Chris Jericho, no AEW asks if he's been too nice. And I just put genuinely deep this. It's wild how a few years ago, the thought of, if you'd said to a few years ago, Chris Jericho, AEW's going to have an event. I dare bring up a pay per view, a special event, whatever it was. Might trigger some people, but like I love that video. It's like it might trigger some people. Yeah, they're gonna have this special event, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And Chris Jericho is not gonna be on it. With the amount of clout that that man had back then, it's mad in it that he's like I know it's not mad now because we hate Chris Jericho, and fuck wouldn't want to see him on there anyway. But people would be outraged if they paid money and they're like, "Where's Chris Jericho? I paid money." And they didn't
Yeah.
get him. It's just mad, I think.
Yeah. I saw a tweet, I think, that recently went quite sort of viral on wrestling Twitter, which was it's crazy that like you said, a few years ago Chris Jericho was like realistically in the GOAT conversation. Like people probably could have said he's one of the greatest of all time and you wouldn't bat an eyelid. Whereas now that's not the case. And he's got go away
Yeah.
heat.
And the fact that in that promo as well, he's like, "I'm the new ever," that means that I'm a 9-time world title holder. And the fact that, like, that's such an achievement. That's amazing. But, like, it's just another cheap gimmick. Like, the way this man has managed to piss on all of his legacy
Mm.
by overexposure and overindulgence. And that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Is like we were talking about how the Copeland stuff kind of felt a bit indulgent in parts, and how with the creative control the wrestlers get in AW, sometimes things are just really overindulgent. And Chris Jericho is like the figurehead of overindulgence and like what that can bring and the destruction and the what's the word, like the defecation to your character and your stock that it can bring, and the fact that like there is still no self-awareness, it's really something.
Yeah, it's just like how many characters and gimmicks he's gone through. And like,
But that used to be cool.
when something does land,
But that became a gimmick. Having
then
too
he'll
many characters
overdo it.
the gimmick became a gimmick. It was inception of the gimmicks, but it does suck because like, yeah, I don't know. Like for me, if someone asked me like favorite wrestlers of all time, like Chris Jericho would have been that conversation, and I think he probably still is. But it's harder to like get out and like say that.
Yeah,
Like I have to erase the past few years in my mind.
Yeah.
But you think like that'd be like a stark wake up call, like, oh, I'm on fucking ROH, whatever the hell that show was called. I can't remember the name of it.
Global War.
I'm on Global War. Like, is that not like a wake up call, dude?
Maybe that's
Jesus
what
Christ. Well, he's so delusional that he's like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm like building the stars of tomorrow.
Building younger stars, baby.
So next up, this was another thing that I really freaking enjoyed. This was the street fight, which was already great. It's Will Hobbs, Big Bill, two people that I'm a big fan of. I really enjoy both of these. And street fights. Been going a bit of a gripe lately about my gripe street fights. This was a really good street fight. It got a bit botched in parts, but it was everything that I could ask for in a street fight. It had amazing tension right out of the gate. It had them going out into the crowd. It had amazing tension. It had a lawless vibe, which I really enjoyed. It was like straight away aggression. I hate when it's street fight. It's like we're gonna do pro wrestling first. Like no, let's just beat the shit out of each other.
Let's just
the way they were
try and murder each other from the beginning.
Yeah, like the objective of the fucking match. I really like when wrestlers wrestle how the match is supposed to wrestle, like the tournament wrestling style. Wrestle in the realms of it. I really appreciate it. But, you know, they were grabbing weapons in great time, and they weren't just trying, like I say, wrestle each other. They were like just grabbing something and just hitting each other. At one point, I think Bill grabbed the wrench and he hit Hobbs over the head. And I really appreciate that. Like, normally, like I say, when the weapons like that, they go for like the stomach and like they sell it like jumping back, and it's so obvious. And it's like one of my biggest gripes. I don't pick up the bloody weapon if you're not going to use it, like how you'd actually use it in a real street fight. It had fun gimmicked weapons as well. It had the bricks in the backpack. It had blood. They got colour. It was violent. It was just, it really had like a bit of like a lawless, not entirely like in the violence department, obviously, was it this, but it had ECW street fight vibe, and it was just great fun.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a perfect mix of like the hard hitting strong style that you'd expect from these two because they're both huge and violent. That the way they managed to fuse those things together, I thought like really worked. It was like strong style, not strong style. It's not really the right phrase, actually. I don't think, but you know what I mean. Like them showing off the fact that they are big, they are really strong. With, like you said, the gimmicked weapons and like the blood, the barbed wire table at the end, which I was surprised about. It was entertaining, definitely. There was a moment when I think it was Bill threw like a random object at Will Hobbs, and it just like didn't work. Like the sound mixer or something. Like he tried to throw.
Oh, I thought he threw it at his knee. I thought that was quite cool.
I mean, fair enough. I think like there's something out of sync with the sound of it. Like I think someone maybe did a knee slap and it wasn't at the right time, and I had to replay like 3 times to try and figure out what had actually happened.
I didn't really catch that one, but I caught when he was on the steel steps, and it was very WWE-esque in that like it was so obvious from the camera angle that he was like hitting the steps rather than like timing his head. Which, do you know what? No discredit, because if someone was fucking shoving my head towards steel steps, I also instinctively would be doing that. And I also think it was on part to I don't think that was the right camera angle to show that. And then the ending, unfortunately, he only went through the one table. That looked a bit botched. There was another bit as well when like he was on the ramp and it looked like he just dropped him. But despite that it was rough around the edges, I don't even care, guys, because street fights are all about vibes, baby. They're just about vibes. And this, like, I've been so nitpicky lately, so I was just so overjoyed to get something that is what I'm saying. Like, if I was teaching a lecture on street fights, they were hitting my bullet points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it was nice as well that it was just a shift in the sort of tone for Dynamite. You know you don't normally get this type of match on Dynamite, especially with
Yeah.
blood. So that was nice for a change. Um, did you? I don't. It was in picture in picture, so I'm not sure if you might have seen it or not. But when Big Bill used his blood as lipstick and he was like strutting
Yeah.
around, oh my God! Just like let this man show his personality, and he's brilliant.
He's such a star.
Yeah.
Such a star. Um, and I really liked that bit where Brian Keith came in and he had the chair and he went to chair shot Hobbs and he just swatted him away. He just flicked the
Oh my
chair shot
God.
away mid
Yeah.
strike and then launched him through the table.
Like,
It was just
punched the
really
chair.
charming. This whole match was just really charming. And I haven't been online, but I better not be hearing too much slander about this because this was just two lads having a good old brawl. And like you say, it was just fun. It broke up the tone. It was a really nice change of pacing.
Just two guys being dudes.
Two guys being dudes was the murder machines with Renee. Fuck me, this were bad. Like I'm trying really hard not to like pile on them because I just cannot be asked. But fuck me, like this is like the definition of like no aura. It was awkward. Like Renee at the end, she was like, but it wasn't in the way of like it was supposed to be because it was meant to be like the threatening, but it was just shit. He was like, and everyone dies at the end. Like the delivery was so bad. Fucking Brian Cage has got a bloody beard now. It's just like, what's going on? Get these men away from the Callis family. I cannot be asked.
I know your feelings about these two men. And I agree. I don't get it. They've got no stock to me. There's no brand. There's no like
There's no
brand.
brand.
Is that what? Like, what do I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
No
the name-
USP.
the tag team name, Murder Machines, doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't evoke images of these two people. I don't know. It just doesn't. Nothing fits. It doesn't fit together.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, then we got Then we got the Tony Storm sort of crowning promo. This was highly entertaining. You know, open up with the Hall that you all adore. Mariah May's been exiled, shouted out Queen of the Ring, which I'm super buzzed
Yeah.
to watch.
Yeah,
And
me too. Don't know when it's coming out in the UK.
yeah, it should be coming out soonish, innit? It's already, I think. But it says of her title, she needs to fight the best. God is a woman named Timeless Tony. Obviously, the delivery of this was just fantastic, very stimulating, and what can you say? It was a simple promo of, you know, I'm a fighting champion. Mariah's out of the picture. Da da da. But you know, it was class. It was just really entertaining and really great to see her.
Yeah,
Because they've had a habit of like a Mariah and Tony thing had happened and then like you wouldn't see from them for like a week. So I think it's always good. They always do that, like, oh, someone wins the title and you don't see him for like 2 weeks. It's just nice to just see her immediately.
yeah, definitely. And you know, I loved how as soon as her music hit, she got a standing ovation, just for existing as she should. And it's just that, yeah, that made me feel a certain type of way just to see that like reaction for
Yeah.
Tony. I was like, that's very well deserved, and it's very nice to see.
Yep. Then we had a little thing about Gabe Kidd coming to Collision. That's pretty juicy. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty fun. Then we had Willow with Renee talking about the Death Riders and the nuisance they've been, and her being attacked a few weeks ago. Marina comes in with the briefcase, just absolutely decks her, and the Death Riders make their way to the ring. It is nice that we're finally getting this, but I am excited for this, but I just feel like it's a bit lukewarm now. It'll still
Yeah,
bang, right? But I'm like, oh, like, I wanted this weeks ago when it was teased, and now we're finally doing it, and it's like, why did we not strike when the iron's hot? I don't get it.
exactly my thoughts. Like, I want this, hook it up to my veins, don't get me wrong, but especially because the seeds have been sown, there's a story there, but that was ages ago. That was so
Mm.
long ago. Why couldn't we have done it then? But shouldn't complain, it's better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. See, hopefully it's gonna have more, um, what's the word? More stable story going forward, and
Mm,
they're actually going to be invested in it.
yeah.
So yeah, uh, Mox gets in the ring, talks about Cup, and then who comes out but Jay White? Oh yeah, I backed. I'll admit it, I backed. But Pac was lurking. Yeah, I backed. Yeah. So he's kind of cornered in. And then what made me laugh was, I can't think Shivani said it, and he was like, but Jay White, he's not a coward. I'm like, bro, he's like the definition of a chicken shit heel. Like, is this
Mm.
like a character rebrand or something? Or do we just all like have amnesia? He's like Adam Cole, man. Like, you never trust Jay White. You never trust Adam Cole.
Well,
Both his
you
mates.
know how it is in wrestling. We'll collectively agree to forget things sometimes.
Yeah. And yeah, Cope comes out and just decks him. I wrote, nice to see Cope selling the Grand Slam injuries that were only a few days ago.
Yeah,
Because
like,
from that, you'd think he'd be out. Like, he didn't
yeah,
even sell it at all. Like, what the fuck, man?
could he not have just had like a week off?
A neck brace, just a neck brace, like a big white
Yeah,
cone or something.
yeah. Or just literally just take the opportunity to sit at home for a week. I guess, too much of a workhorse. He didn't want to do that.
I really loved the Blade Runner to the spear though. That was delicious.
Yeah.
Uh, then we had to get Spike out. Granddad's got Spike out. It's like
What
this is what I
I
mean by indulgent. Like it's just
yeah.
random shit. Like who the fuck is invested in this weapon called Spike?
I
But
mean,
like to him, it's like we got to have Spike, guys. Like I can feel like when they were putting a segment together, and he was like, and then I'll bring Spike out, and everyone was just like, yeah, sure. Like it's one of those things that like you can tell means a lot to him,
mm,
but
maybe it means a lot to Tony Khan. Maybe he's the one behind it. But like what you were saying before about weapons and that, this weapon makes me laugh for that reason because it's just like you could probably kill someone with that, but has he ever actually hit someone in the head with it? No.
he did try to with Mox, didn't he? But
Well, yeah, but like
he avoided it.
obviously he's never going to.
Yeah, that's pro wrestling. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And when he does use it in a match, it'll be to like do the lunging thing. I want to see him like put someone's face on it and like stand on it and like
Oh,
I,
yeah.
Darby'd do that. Darby'd do that. Um, but
There's nothing that
yeah,
man
Death
wouldn't
Riders
do.
retreat, real. Uh, And I really liked how during the promo before Mox like, this is my arena, this is my seats and my fans. And I will say it was really poignant. Cup being in the crowd just being absolutely fucking buzzed as you would be. Uh, you know, it
Yeah.
sounds like I'm dunking on the man. I do love him. He's like he's like one of my favorite wrestlers, one of my childhood favorite wrestlers. Like, got a lot of love and respect for him. But I actually I found it really poignant that he was like, "This isn't your arena. Seats are people. They're mine." With the crowd behind him was really cool. And then he did this bit, and it was like a really scary camera angle, and then it was really intense. And he was like, "I'm gonna kill you all." I was like, okay, I'm kind of like, this is like really intense.
Overstimulated right now.
What happened? Yeah, I'm like, this would have been fine maybe for next week. And I did really enjoy this segment, so I'm not like dunking on it or anything. I thought it was really fun, but it's also wild how he's like screaming, going, ah, and, like it's like, bro, your neck got broken. Like,
Yeah,
what?
like just calm down a bit before you hurt your neck again. Also, like, where are FTR? I
God
thought these
knows.
were besties now.
No, it's all about Jay White, the future AEW World Heavyweight Champion, guys. Then
You heard it here first.
we had Renee uh, with Money. And my favorite thing about the Money interviews with Renee is you can tell how much Renee loves her because
Yeah.
Money's awful to her in character, in kayfabe, but at the start of every interview, she's just like so girly. She's like, "Oh my God, Money, how's it going?" Like she just doesn't do that with anyone else. And you're like, she's fucking like she just loves her
Mm.
IRL. Like she has so much respect for her, and it just comes through. But
Oh,
that's not what she's
definitely.
supposed to be playing. She's supposed to be playing like the straight laced like interviewer of like so Money. But she's like, "Oh my God, girl, like what's up?" Like the Money train. It's so
That is
funny
so
to me.
true. That is so true.
This is really cool though, because Mama Watanabe, she's going after the TBS title, and she was interviewed with Lexi Nair, and the Revolution match has been finalised, and Monet says she used to show up and Dynamite and say it to her face, yeah, I fuck with it, I'm
Yeah.
into it, be a really great match, and yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's
totally
fun.
agree. Not really got anything to add.
Yeah, then we had Stat versus Megan Bayne. This was a really, really, really good match.
Yeah, wasn't
Uh,
it?
two powerhouses going shot for shot, and start off looked great. Megan Bayne was freaking made during this match, I thought.
Yeah.
In on AEW programming, that is, of course. I loved the Falcon Arrow that she did start. The elevation was
Yeah.
fantastic. I wrote it. This was just an easy watch. Like sometimes you
Wasn't
put
it?
on, especially TV matches, and it's got lulls and the pacing's a bit off.
And
It's a
your
bit, and
attention
they
span is
stop
like
trying.
waning.
Yeah, exactly. But this, like, you were locked in. It's like you
Yeah.
see Hangman Page speaking. These two girls wrestling. It was like you attention had to be put into the ring.
You sit down, you shut up, and you pay attention.
You do, you do. Um, and she did the Meg Bain picked up the victory, quite a dominant victory after the Penelope interference. She was able to get her licks in post match, and then Thunder Rosa came out, which again was just it's not my fit. It's not. This is just a bit like okay, but you know, it was a really cool match, really an exhibition match. It's cool that Megan Bayne got one over Stat and Penelope, and I suppose Thunder Rosa, if you're a fan, like it's cool to have that many women come out. Obviously, they've been doing a lot on Collision as well. So like I say, it's nice to move it over um, to Dynamite, and yeah,
Yeah, it
just
was.
keep strengthening that women's division.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, literally strengthening it. Literally, these two women are so physically strong and bringing that new element to Dynamite. Yeah, it was a really fun match. I didn't feel like Megan needed the help to win with the interference. I was a bit like,
I agree.
I didn't really see the point of that, but to continue the story, yeah, fine, whatever. Um, I feel like maybe she could have won on her own, and then it was like a beatdown or something, but whatever. Um, but Thunder Rosa's running was really terrible. I mean, she had this chair that she was like wielding and threatening to swing, but she wasn't swinging it. And I actually do think this was probably maybe the fault of this led with Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. I feel like they should have ran away and been scared, but they were just stood there like this, like not bothered about the chair. So
Yeah,
that
they didn't give a shit.
yeah, that really no-sold it and made Thunder Rosa look like a chump because she wasn't hitting them with it. She had every opportunity to and she didn't, so that didn't work.
Yeah. Um. So then we had Max Caster with Renee on with a 0-2 with his open challenges. This man thinks he's the Kanye of wrestling. I wrote another open challenge this Saturday. Will Gabe Kidd be answering it?
Oh my God. I mean, for
Because
anyone
obviously the
who's
whole thing is like being wiped. The whole thing is him have. I don't know what the end goal is with this storyline. Just have him be wiped the floor with. I'm not objecting to it, but it's just also like, what is the point?
yeah. For anyone who's listening and not watching, but you might have been able to hear my eyes rolling because I rolled them so hard when Estelle said Max Caster. So yeah, that's how I'd sum up my thoughts.
Great summary. Moving on to eye rolling, we next had Ricochet coming out. I love Justin Roberts. Show some love too. Uh, it was good in the way of like Ricochet's entertaining as a heel, but he just does it in like a very specific way, doesn't he? Like it's very awkward. I can't explain it. I'm
Mm.
not saying it's good or bad, but right. Yeah, he comes out, he gives some cheap hometown heat. He's a winner, so he doesn't care. Um, he's whooped everyone's ass, which like, I just feel like sayings like that, like you have to have an American saying, American fuck me, American accent, don't you? Like
I'll
I
whoop your
I
ass.
whooped his ass, I whooped Kenny's ass. I was just like, what are you on about, mate?
Yeah.
Can you imagine like going up to like a roadman being like, "I'ma whoop your ass, bro"? Like, what the fuck are you on about?
Oh my God, if someone said that, like, say at a wrestling show in Morecambe, for example, all the kids would laugh in their face.
Literally, I love the corniness of it. And he said his intentions are to win gold. He's too good looking not to. All right.
Not
Swear's
even.
music plays. Interestingly, only Nana comes down, talks about what the robe represented, that he hasn't earned the right, basically. And if he's a stand-up as an individual, he says he is, he's going to give him the robe. Do you think he gave him the robe, ladies and gentlemen? No, he didn't. And he's like, this fucking segment concluded, I shit you not, with, "You're not getting the robe." Aha! And then it just ended. And it was like, fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, I guess. Like, what can you say? What can you say to that segment? I don't know.
I
I'm not
think
saying it was bad. I just don't know what do you make of that?
I think that it made me hate him even more, which I guess is the point. Um
Yeah,
I think that maybe they could have explained a little bit more why the rope means so much. And don't get me wrong, I think Prince Nana did a really good job with his promo. And I thought it was very emotive and I felt very sorry for him. But like, I don't know if like everyone watching will know that like Prince Nana is an actual prince. It's not just like a gimmick. He actually is like that's in his heritage. So like this rub is not just a prop. It's literally part of his family lineage, his heritage examples, for example. So like it's even more disrespectful for Ricochet to steal that off him than they're making it seem, and I feel like that just needs to come across even more because this. I
yeah,
mean, oh, I don't
and
know.
maybe
I just hated watching this because, like you say, Ricochet is really awkward. There's something about him that's very like teenage boy, like he's been bullied
teenage
and but
boy.
he thinks he's
Yeah,
hard and like
edgelord. Yeah, like
yeah,
incel edgelord that got like bullied. Yeah,
very much
and
a pick
it's
me as well.
which this is like his best role so far because yeah, this really does work for him,
It suits him.
and he is a great in-ring wrestler. You cannot take that away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it suits him. Take from that what you will. We're not saying that like it's bad, but like it's still very awkward. And yeah, it's like it just ended weirdly because, like you say, Prince Dan is talking about what it means to him. Yeah, he could have gone one step further for further context, but then what worsened it was the fact that Ricochet didn't acknowledge it, which I guess is the point of it. And I guess it's like, yeah, it's irritating and it's disrespectful and it's yeah, it's meant to be like that stupid teenage boy, like like just that dickhead in school that just like pipes up and you just like shut the fuck up. Like I I get that that's the point, but I guess because it's just so different to how we're programmed to watching a promo and how we're programmed to receive in wrestling, and it's like we had so many performances. Tony Storm with her performance, and freaking Hangman and Max at each other's throats with like this deep Shakespearean poetry, these tragic heroes, and then we've just got this dickhead coming up and going, "Aha!" Like it's just like it's a bit jarring. Do you know
It
what I
is
mean?
so jarring. Oh my God. I know that's like a thing that he's doing now. And like people laugh at it, so that's why he's doing it. Oh, it's so cringe though. It's so
It's
cringe.
just
I guess that's the point, but fuck me. Can't be dealing with it.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. I can't decide whether like it is kind of genius because it's like you really want to watch Swerve beat him up, or like whether it is just
Yeah.
like one step too far. I don't
Yeah.
know. Just have
Yeah.
to keep rocking and rolling with it. We got the main event, JR coming out, which was a nice little
Yeah.
treat.
4 people on
Orange,
commentary. And also
yeah,
Ian
and
Riccaboni was on
Riccaboni.
for
Yeah.
this. Yeah, he's good. He's good. Although I think he's used to doing play by play, and I think you could tell that he wanted to say more than, because there's one lead commentator. You can't have two lead commentators. I think sometimes that was a little bit difficult to get that balance right. But I'm not criticizing. But yeah, having JR join them was quite a lot. But it was good. It's always good to hear JR on commentary.
Yeah, so Orange coming out is in his light blue denim, so hard reset.
Mm,
Is that also because he's going for the international title and it's like he's going back to his roots,
yeah.
so he's like coming back to himself. And Roderick, yeah, we had Cole and O'Reilly on the sidelines. They didn't really interfere that much, but it was kind of fun because he went out, gave him a hug, and then Orange did the tope. And I liked how in the ring it was all business and wrestling, but then when he stepped out, even though there wasn't that tension of O'Reilly, which I would have preferred, there was definitely a dynamic, and there was definitely a shift when we go out of the ring. We're gonna have this like dynamic. When we go in the ring, we're just focused on each other, and that was pretty well done, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I agree, but also like I just didn't really care that much about it at the same time.
Yeah, because yeah, well, we'll get to it. Why I think you might not have cared. But the wrestling ring was fun, and especially the last sort of 5 minutes was quick paced,
Yeah.
and it was the orange punch for the victory. Um, so that was pretty nice. All their history that they've had together as well,
Yeah, and
and
I guess one thing,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt you. I guess one thing I
nope,
would say about them that this was a good match, and I think that it's just two very solid wrestlers. Like everything they do is so tight in the ring. And they're very well matched. And Roddy said it in the promo earlier on the night, like we're destined to dance forever. Um, and yeah, I think their chemistry came across in this.
yeah. So the post match, which kind of told you the intentions of, if you hadn't already guessed, my personal hopes and dreams. So Orange Cassidy's like asked a question about Tony Giovanni, something online like you're one of the greatest of all times and of who's held this title. Da da da. Uh, and he can't answer it because Callis comes out with Takeshita. There's a beat down Orange, but Kenny comes down, um, and he receives a beating of his own. Then we have this really cool combo on Takeshita with the stun dog, the V trigger, and then the orange punch to Takeshita. And then Orange and Kenny stand tall, and they're both captivated by the title. But the final shot is actually Kenny with the title, and this is all a roundabout way to get to Kenny and Takeshita. Essentially, like there's no other way about this really. Like that's what we all want to see, and so it's difficult to be invested in these things, especially when
Yeah, right.
like it wasn't taken serious, like, and it wasn't taken seriously from the moment that Renee interview happened. There's no, it's like you say, like, yeah, there's been a lot of ramifications, but this didn't feel like it had ramifications. And also, like Orange Cassidy, like I just don't understand what he's doing right now because like he's come back after 6 week off. He's in his light blue denim. But like, is that him done with the Death Riders thing now? Has he washed his hands of it? So again, it's like because you
Yeah,
don't exactly
exactly.
know what's going on. And then Adam Cole's on the outside as well, and you just like you look at him and you're like, Jesus Christ, like what? Where did it all
Uh,
go wrong? Like that's just a depressing sight. So it's just all this, and then Kenny comes out, and you're like, fuck yeah, Kenny Omega and Takeshita, woo! And then
and that
like
overshadows
that
everything,
happens,
and
and
everything's fine and
exactly,
dandy.
exactly. exactly. So yeah, that was the main event.
Yeah, and like Orange has been off TV for so long. Roddy's been doing trios things, so I didn't really see any of them as like viable contenders to face Takeshita for that title anyway.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'll just sit back and enjoy their good wrestling, but I don't really see what's at stake.
Exactly. Exactly. So overall, I think the show for me was an 8.5. I had a lot of fun. Um a 9 seems quite steep. 8.5 seems quite steep. Realistically, it's probably more an 8, but the Hangman stuff, um, the Megan Bayne stat match was really great. I really enjoyed the street fight. I'm kind of going with feeling rather than
Yeah.
logic on this one, gang.
No,
I
I,
just
I,
had a great time.
I think you're right though, because I think everything that we've talked about was good. Like a couple
Like
of
I said,
things.
nothing we hated. Like
Yeah,
there's things
right.
where you just like, oh fuck's sake, Chris Jericho. Oh fuck's sake, Max Caster. But it wasn't like, oh my god, this is terrible. This is
Yeah,
the worst thing ever.
exactly. And I don't think anyone could watch this and disagree with that. I mean, I could be totally off the mark, totally wrong, because wrestling fans do tend to surprise you in that way. But like,
True.
I do objectively think that this was a great show. Um, so yeah, I completely agree with 8.5. There were certain things, yeah, that we've talked about that have prevented it from being a 10, but that's totally fine because it was still entertaining and it, like you said, there was nothing that we absolutely hated. So yeah, I think that's perfectly a reasonable score to give.
Yep.
Um, yeah, was there anything we wanted to add on at the end, or is that everything for this week?
No, that's everything for this week. Yeah, I know we've got like a video, haven't we, that we want to do for kind of in line with the 500 subscriber achievement. So eyes peeled for that.
Yeah,
Um,
uh,
and yeah,
definitely. If anyone's got any questions for us that they want us to ask, we've not
yeah,
done that for a long time,
bring
not
back the
asked for questions for
questions.
a long time, but certainly that's something we enjoyed doing, and for some reason we just forgot. But yeah, any questions or any feedback, like we said right at the start, we always are really keen to hear what people think and what you want to see in the future. So do let us know. And if you're watching and you've not subscribed or followed, please do, and leave a like and share it with your friends if you want. That'd be amazing. Thanks again. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you